Imagine standing on a battlefield where faith is tested, where the clash of swords echoes through the valley, and where one decision can change the course of history. This is the story of the Battle of Uhud, a moment that shaped the fate of Islam. A battle of courage, betrayal, and an unshakable will to survive. Stay with us as we bring this legendary conflict to life, immersing you in the sights, sounds, and emotions of that fateful day. In the year 625 AD, 1 year after the shocking Muslim victory at Badr, the Quraysh of Mecca, humiliated and burning for vengeance, assembled an army of 3,000 warriors. Their goal? To march upon Medina and destroy Muhammad and his growing community once and for all. This was not just about revenge, it was about crushing a rising power before it could challenge the might of Mecca. When word of the approaching army reached Medina, the Prophet Muhammad called his companions to council. Some advised defending from within the city, while others, especially those who had missed the glory of Badr, urged an open battle. Muhammad, honoring their enthusiasm, chose to meet the enemy outside Medina, near the towering Mount Uhud. He led 700 fighters, a small force compared to the Quraysh's thousands. But their faith was unshaken. As they approached Uhud, the Prophet devised his strategy. A crucial hill overlooked the battlefield, a natural stronghold. He placed 50 of his best archers on this slope, commanding them, "Hold this position, no matter what. Even if you see us victorious, do not move." This hill was to protect the Muslims from a flanking attack. With their positions set, the army braced for the coming storm. The Quraysh, confident in their overwhelming numbers, launched their attack. But the Muslims, fueled by faith and unity, met them with unrelenting ferocity. Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, the Prophet's uncle, fought like a lion, cutting down enemy after enemy. The battle turned in favor of the Muslims. The Quraysh line began to waver, and soon their warriors broke into retreat. Victory seemed within reach, but at that moment, temptation overruled discipline. The Muslim archers on the hill, seeing the Quraysh flee, disobeyed orders. Believing the battle won, they abandoned their position to chase spoils of war. This was the moment Khalid ibn al-Walid, a brilliant Quraysh commander, had been waiting for. With lightning speed, Khalid led his cavalry in a devastating counterattack. Charging up the now unguarded hill, he smashed into the Muslim flank. The battlefield turned into chaos and slaughter. As the Quraysh regained their strength, their warriors struck back with renewed fury. Hamza, the Lion of Allah, was ambushed and slain by Washi, an Ethiopian spear thrower, avenging his master's defeat at Badr. Blood soaked the ground, and the Muslim ranks crumbled under the pressure. Amidst the confusion, Muhammad himself was wounded, hit by stones, slashed by swords. The cry spread, "The Prophet has been killed." Panic took hold of the Muslim army. Some fled, others fought desperately, their spirits crushed by the thought that their leader was gone. A handful of warriors, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Talha ibn Ubaidullah, Abu Dujana, and a few others stood their ground. They formed a desperate shield around Muhammad, fighting off wave after wave of Quraysh attacks. Talha, despite his wounds, defended Muhammad fiercely, shielding him with his own body. Arrows pierced his flesh, but he did not falter. The chaos intensified. A Quraysh warrior, seeing Muhammad still alive, charged toward him with his blade raised high. Before he could strike, Abu Dujana leaped forward, his sword flashing in the sunlight. He intercepted the blow, cutting down the attacker in a single movement. He turned to face the next challenger, his face set in grim determination. All around them, the battle raged. The Muslims, despite being outnumbered, fought with unyielding tenacity. A woman named Nusayba bint Ka'b, a fierce warrior in her own right, took up arms when she saw the Prophet in danger. With sword in hand, she struck down enemy after enemy, defending Muhammad with all her strength. Finally, the Muslims retreated to the slopes of Mount Uhud, regrouping, battered but alive. The Prophet, though wounded, was still standing. His presence alone reignited the spirits of his warriors. The Quraysh, believing they had won, did not pursue. They had avenged Badr in their eyes. But it was not the complete destruction they had hoped for. Instead, they turned to brutality. The bodies of fallen Muslims were mutilated. Hamza's body was desecrated by Hind bint Utbah, who cut open his chest and chewed his liver in a grotesque act of vengeance. This gruesome sight would haunt the Muslims for years to come. The losses were heavy. 70 Muslims had fallen, including some of their finest warriors. The Quraysh had suffered too, but they had made their statement. Yet, even in defeat, the Muslims learned an undeniable truth: obedience and discipline were the path to victory. The sting of Uhud would not break them. It would prepare them for the greater struggles to come. Muhammad gathered his people and addressed them: "Do not be disheartened. What has happened was a trial. Victory comes to those who remain steadfast." That day, the Muslims mourned their dead, but they did not despair. The road ahead was long, and the war for Islam's survival had only begun. This was not the end. It was the beginning of an even greater battle: the war for Islam's survival. Uhud was a battle of blood, honor, and faith. Though the Muslims suffered loss, it became a symbol of resilience. The mistakes made that day became lessons that shaped future victories. It was not just a fight of swords, but a test of belief. And in the end, faith endured. The Battle of Uhud was more than a clash of armies. It was a test of faith, discipline, and resilience. Though it ended in hardship, the lessons it taught paved the way for future victories. History remembers this battle as a moment where faith was shaken but not broken, a moment where heroes were made, and a moment that would forever shape the destiny of a people. If this story gripped you, be sure to subscribe to Mythic Hidden Chronicles for more epic journeys into the past.